The GAA Hour with Colm Parkinson is brought to you by Paddy Power, home of the Money Back Special.
And when I started running, I suppose I didn't stop, and when I got the chance to go, I said I should go, and so I opened up.
We're only the small little fish out there, so we are, and we're trying hard to make it through. But it's hard to get the breaks when you're the smaller fish.
Because I love this county so much, you know, and it's just, I'm delighted that the lads did it for the people I'm over today, because like I'm heartbroken.
Welcome along to the Hurling Show. Michael is here in studio with me and Damien is on the line. Lads, I don't know what it is about hurling, but we've had a week off for club. Maybe that's the reason. There's no news around. Hurling is like a wasteland at the moment. There's no controversies. I've said this on the show before, Michael. There's no Sunday articles about the weaker counties not getting enough funding. There's no complaints. There's no problem with fixtures. Like, there's never anyone giving out, really. Like, there's no huge headlines.
Porky Quaid.
Well, Porky Quaid, yeah. Maybe at least that was something. I was like, but that was also a football one, yeah, because that was kind of it. But like, I mean, I actually think it's worse this year than other years, Damien, because the league doesn't really mean much because there's no relegation. Does anyone really care about winning this league? It just feels to me, because of the structure of the championship, the league now is just a pre-season thing where they're all trying out lads, and Galway learnt the lesson of not trying out lads last year. Cork are trying out lads. Kilkenny Reid are always trying out lads. Now it's become almost a Kyo Cup kind of thing where you're all building up to this huge championship, and now all of a sudden the league is like, they're good games, you know what I mean? They're still good games, enjoyable to watch, but does anyone really care about winning it?
No, I'd agree 100% with you there, Colin. I think the league at the moment is a complete waste of time. I think this year in particular, I think it's a meaningless competition. No one is getting promoted, no one is getting relegated. I can see this in the way that Cork are taking the league, you know, that they're trying to find a couple of players this year. I couldn't agree with you more where you said there's Galway last year found out at the end of the season that they didn't find enough players in the league, and that's what they're doing as well at the moment, trying to find players. And that's where Carlow will say got stuck into Galway and nearly had a historic win over them where they had the draw, which is a brilliant result for Carlow Hurling. Reference your no topics on the newspapers and no articles and all. But I've said this before, that the way it's gone in hurling is that you can't talk to the media anymore. You have to get the okay from the manager to allow you to talk, and it's like it's gone to a court. Like, you know what, even last night, Roland Maher was on the county panel, and we were doing club training last night, and I went over just to ask them how things were going, you know, and it was nearly just like, yeah, it's fine, it's going grand. Like, it's nearly like they're brainwashed. And yeah, that's the thing, you know, and I've told you this before about when we got to the All-Ireland hurling final in 2012, I think one of the sports shows, it could have been yourself, your old show, rang one of them, would I do an interview, and I done the interview, and basically was asking us, we're Galway training hard, and what's different about 2012 and 2011 and all this. And I think probably the more controversial thing I said was that we're all training fierce hard, and everyone is putting in their effort, and everyone's going to one direction. And I got absolutely slated at the following training session, which is the next day, that I gave a media interview without getting permission. And that's how I just think it's gone too far, Colm. I said this before. I think it's gone too far. Amateur players try to get as much out, and then I see some players then can do as many interviews as they want, right? Some players, and then there's other players that aren't getting enough like this. And as I said, as an amateur player, try to get as much out of it as you can. But it's gone to a cult. It's gone to, like, you cannot speak. You cannot tell your parents nearly what training sessions you're doing. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. And like last week in the lead up to the hurling match, there would be some of the club hurlers who would have been at a launch day, and the quotes used to promote that. It was 2 weeks without really any player interviews in the newspapers or on the websites for hurling. That's like, I mean, the bigger picture here, Michael. Like, I mean, it's like I'm looking around for news here for us to talk about. people are hurling is losing an opportunity to market itself because, and I spoke with Tom Ryan about this last week, that the Director General, that something has to be done about this because it's not promoting the game.
No, you miss the lads who used to shoot from the hip. Like, you know, you'd love to hear Tommy Walsh when he's still playing now and doing the interviews like he does.
See, he didn't do them though when he was playing.
You see, that's, I suppose, and young lads, when you come into a panel, you're nearly petrified, like the scaremongering that goes on. Don't tell the media anything, you know. Like, you really are. You go to an interview and it's like, oh, they're a great team, and you could write out the exact same interview that 10 lads would say one after another, and it is very boring. Like, but I don't know what's going to change, because you don't want to be the lad in the panel that comes in and sort of opens up a can of worms, and he's, as Damien said, get eaten by a manager then later on, you know.
But even like there's two parts of this. Number one, to do the interview and not give away secrets, like that goes without saying. But now there's been no interviews, not even boring ones. So hurling has had no real part of the national press in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I suppose
you know, and that's you're losing out there.
Yeah, but I know Dublin has a press officer, and like she'll ring whoever player is asked, but she has to get the go ahead from Matty, and I presume it's the same for the football. And I'm sure other counties all have it.
Oh, it's definitely the same for the football. Don't worry.
Yeah. So like, for media to even get to the players now is so difficult, you know. And there's no like, I'll get his number and give him a ring, because lads just won't give an interview. They're petrified, you know. And like, you know, I hope it changes, because I love hearing. Now that you're outside the loop, and you know, you'd love to hear the goings on of most panels, but you're not gonna find out unless something badly changes. You're a bit younger than me. Well, you are as well, Damien. But I remember. Well, I started in '98, and I remember up until 2004. Yeah. We played a Leinster semi-final against Meath, and I scored a goal in that game. And I can remember sitting in the dressing room in Croke Park, and a journalist sitting beside me in the dressing room while I'm in my togs, and he's sticking a dictaphone in my face, Damien. Like, I mean, while it's probably a good thing to lose those days and you get a bit of privacy while you're togging in, it's gone to complete other extremes. I just think... I said it, Colm. I just think it's gone overboard. Like I used to love, would say, especially when you be on a Sunday there, I would say, if you weren't training, you might open up one of the papers and you see an exclusive interview, you know, we'll say on the Irish Independent or whatever, and it could be a 2-page spread about, you know, one of the elite athletes. We'll say a hurler or footballer, and you'd actually sit down and read it, and you know, you might get interesting comments. But like in these interviews, like what personal details are they given? You know, and like I love to read an article about a guy that said, you know, last year I had only a Midland season, and I knew I needed to improve on my striking and my touch. So what this year what I've been doing is I've been living 4 days inside the ball or the ball alleys, and I do an hour striking like this, and my younger brother helps strike. But like what? Like every player is doing this sort of stuff. Yeah. And but it's all what's happening, Colm, is to put it in a nutshell. We're not allowed, we'll say, as players, we were not allowed to do interviews without getting the okay from the manager like this. So what happens is, to explain it to people that are listening to this, so for example, Vincent Hogan rings me up and goes, Damien, I was going to do an article next Saturday. I was wondering, would you like to do an interview with me next Saturday to do a 2-page spread in Irish Independent? And then what happens is, you go, geez, I'd absolutely love to. Yeah, no problem. I can come down and meet you, which is all part and parcel, and there's a bit of excitement to it. The next thing, well, I just have to get the okay, so I do, and then you ring the manager, and then the manager tells you, I think it'd be more in your line now if you just said concentrating on the hurling and putting your head down and stay training hard. These lads are not your friends. These lads are only just using their ink on the page and using. They don't care about, and that's what happens. That's what happens. So you then have to ring back the guy and say, I'm sorry, they don't want me to. And then there's the journalist, they go, oh God, we don't want to put you under any scrutiny or get you in trouble, and that's no problem. Thanks a million. That's what happens, Colm. Yeah, that's what happens in the modern. That's what's happening in the modern day. Day player, whether it's hurling or football, he has to get the okay, and he rings up his manager, and the manager says, "I think it'd be better if you said out the media." Right, and that's just to explain it. That when people say, "How do you mean they're not doing interviews?" That's what happens. Yeah, that's exactly. And back in the day, the journalist would ring you, and you do an interview with them, and then the day after, they might send down a photographer, and they'll take a picture of you. Colm, I'll tell you a good one, and I'm not going to name the player, right, because I'll absolutely mortify him, right? But we were en route to a Galway match one time. It was actually a league game, right? And we rang a certain Galway player, and the lad that made the phone call was up at the top of the bus, right? And I was down the back of the bus, right? And the lad that took the phone call was in the back row, and he gave a full
interview, so he did, for 15, 20 minutes before a league match, didn't realising that it was a prank. So
twice.
You're wondering how much has interviews changed. So
yeah,
that day is gone.
They've definitely changed. Twice on a Monday after games, newspapers have rang me and I've given it to somebody else in the pub, supporters, and they've gone out, done the interview, and the interview has been on the paper the next day when it's not me at all. Like, I mean, and I'd be kind of half worried when I'd wake up with a hangover the next day going, what the hell did they say now? And then you read it and they're the most thought out, brilliant answers you've ever seen. And like, this fella was absolutely drinking here in the pub, and they come back in, they felt 10 feet tall that they're after doing this interview pretending to be me.
I tell you, when the press officers came in, I was delighted because, as Damien said, like, Paul Ryan was an animal for it with our team. Like, he'd ring us non-stop and you couldn't trust him. Like, if it was someone genuine, you'd be like, yeah, I'll ring you back just to make sure and let it go to the answer machine, you know, because lads just got so good at ringing you up, and
yeah,
you feel like an idiot going on for 10 minutes.
You trust nobody when your phone rings.
Go on.
Quickly here, lads, we'll move on because Owen Cody, so we know he got man of the match, scoring 1-4 against Ballygunner at the weekend, so he's back out for his school, St. Kieran's, and scored 12 points in a 15-point win. They beat North County Dublin 222 to 110. Jeez, like, I mean, I'm just thinking of this old Cody. He's only 18, he's in school, he scores 1-4, so he would have gone home after that All-Ireland semi-final and just watched the telly and ate some crisps and some Coca-Cola, Michael. Like, I mean,
a phenomenal talent. Like, you know,
were you a star that played school and senior and all that kind of thing? I was out of minor before I started playing.
No,
senior.
I was in 6th year playing senior. Right. Like, but at that stage, you just can't get enough of everything.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
like,
you're flying it. Yeah,
playing in, like, I was playing football in sixth year with football, hurling, under 21 for Dublin, and then colleges. Senior with Dublin, and then senior with club and 21 with club, so it's just relentless. Yeah. But like, you loved it and you didn't think anything of it, you know, like, and as you say, I remember the Herald pulling up at the school, you know, I'm doing my leaving cert, and I only played who did we play? I played Offaly and I got man of the match in Croke Park, and I had my physics leaving cert exam the next day
for the Dublin seniors,
senior hurler. So I was wing forward, had a good game. He snuck out for a few points after, because physics to me was the write off anyway. Had about 100 phone calls to my mum after, but like, they were great days. I absolutely loved them, you know.
Yeah,
I couldn't get enough. But I got murdered the next morning.
That's the thing, Damien. When we talk about player welfare, we talk about what's good for the lads rather than the lads obviously will play as many games as they can. It's more or less people need to look from outside of it, and they're happy to play as many games as they can. But people need to look from the outside and say, maybe is that right for them?
Regarding Cody, is it?
Regarding Owen Cody, yeah. Well, anyone that's playing leaving cert playing like at senior club or inter-county level.
Yeah, well, he's a very, very special talent. That guy. I was listening to the match on the radio, and then I really recorded. So we did, and he got a phenomenal goal. That was a really classy Kilkenny type of goal he scored the other day. But as you were saying, what would he have done, we'll say, when the match was over and then he went off playing for his college? But sure, that's the brilliance about these young lads, Colin, that we want to know about and we want to hear about. Like, what maybe, you know, wouldn't it be a brilliant interview if he was allowed to sit down and he could tell that story, that he went home and he went and met his friends and they were eating burgers and chips, and you know, but this, you know, it's good reading and it's enjoyable. Like, and who's it called? You're wondering about player welfare. Like, he's there now with Ballyhale, right? And he's an opportunity to win a club at Ireland. He's going to Croke Park. Obviously, he's going to play. You know, even if a lad said, "Oh, what about your player welfare?" It's not. But like, I just think it's brilliant. The young lad comes on the scene and he's not interested in gyms and gym programs and eating protein. Which is just, it's a breath here. I remember when I was younger Colm, right? And I just came into my head when you were telling that story. And I went to Mass and I met a friend of mine after Mass. And the two of us went off and we got a big fry, so it was before a club championship match. And no, we think two hoots about it, right? Off, ate the fry and I played the club game. I think I scored 2-4 in the club game, and you just headed home and then you went out that night, and that was it. Well, now it's all about eating, sleeping, dieting. You have to eat enough, drink enough. Now you have to do urine samples before to test to see your sugar levels. Now you have to eat properly. There's food being sent to lads' workplaces. The whole thing is just done a full circle, and the whole thing is, I always ask, is as much as you love being an inter-county player, has a little bit of the enjoyment gone over it? That just has a little bit of the enjoyment going, and I think it has.
Well, if you can't have a fry the morning of a match, Mick O'Dwyer was a big fan of the fry. Like, we tried to talk Mick around. Like, we'd stop in the Red Cow Hotel the morning of big matches in Croke Park and always have a fry. Really? And then towards his last year, we had said, like, Jesus, every other county's on nutritional plans, and he didn't like this at all. But I remember reading Tomas and Darragh O'Shea before all of their All Irelands did have a fry. It was just a Kerry thing. You get that into you.
Sure, Colm, do you remember I told you the story about when we the first year of 2012 we played UCD up in UCD and we came back down to some hotel in Kildare like this, and sure they probably put on a full spread and then they gave us apple tart and ice cream, and sure every one of us had apple, and next thing the management told us that was a test, that was to see who would eat it. Did you ever hear such rubbish in all your life? Honest to God, we had a slice of apple tart and ice cream. It wasn't going to kill the body, like, after doing the training, but this was a test and we all failed the test.
That's brilliant.
I would have failed it as well.
I would have failed on the pint of Guinness.
Who's going to get one first? There's always that thing. But sure, I remember Alan McCrabb got...
Colm as well, just to tell you, right, and I'm not going to mention the lad's name as well, right, but just down here in Clare, right, he was saying to me, and this is a couple of years ago, right, so you probably put two and two together who the manager was, right, but if they were going out on a night in Innis, right, they would, if they weren't drinking, they purposely would drink something like 7-Up or Orange, right? They were afraid to drink anything like, we'll say, Luke said, or Sidona, for fear that it got back to the manager that they were drinking cider.
Yeah.
Just, like, it was just gone that serious. Like, there was, often there has to be the whole thing of trust. But like you wouldn't drink a Sidona or a Luke said for fear that it got back that, geez, your man was drinking cider there last night. So I do think sometimes it goes a little bit too far, but because when you're playing with the county, it's meant to be the most enjoyable. You're one of the elite players. You're meant to enjoy it last. So, and that's just.
I was going to say, I remember Alan McCrabb before, like, he got an All-Star with us, and his first All-Star with Dublin in a long time, but sure, he had a curry every night before a big championship match, a full curry, and like, if the dietitians heard about that, they can kill him, know, but sure, what works for you. Well,
that's it. John Milan's on record for saying, he said it actually on the Sports Joe Live, that he'd have a fish and chip and a can of Coke the night before championship matches, and it did him no harm. You wouldn't see a livelier player than that lad. It's like he's after taking speed or something.
I used to hate the pasta and the chicken. We weren't leaving a little sauce in my last few years, like, they're just sitting there going.
There's an argument to say, if you're happy, you play better.
Exactly.
If you're forcing pasta into you and you're like thinking this is disgusting, like, I mean, while it might be better for your fuel for your body, psychologically, if you're not happy, like the morning of a game.
Colm, we played Dublin, right? Michael, we played Dublin in 2012 in a relegation final. So we did in Portlaoise. Can you remember that, Michael?
I do indeed, yeah.
Yeah, right. And we met up in the slow, so we did in one of the hotels, and there was all pasta, dry pasta, and there was dry chicken. And, there was this water with drop of sugar put in it. All was so we're all coming up, and I just at this stage now I just said I've been off this. I'm not going. So I walked straight up to one of the girls and I was that was doing one of the waitress, and I just goes, would you ever mind doing me a favour? I says, you wouldn't get as a pot of tea, and would you ever bring me down 6 or 7 slices of brown bread? Like this. So all the lads were eating their pasta, and I ate brown bread and tea, and I went out and I got man in the match. So I ate brown bread anymore after that.
Well, look, it is. I think it's whatever works. But anyways, there's obviously, you can't have everybody doing their own thing, like as a manager, or else what are you going to have? But definitely, if you're at a stage where you're forcing food and hating it, that's definitely not good for anybody. No. I think it was Wayne Rooney, I was listening to an interview where they might have pasta at 9 a.m. or whatever for an away game, and it's like medicine trying to eat it at that time. I don't know. Like, I mean, I think if you're eating well the week of the game, I'm not sure. Look, to be honest with you, I'm not a nutritionist, so like, I mean,
my opinion on it was all in moderation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, come here. John Myler is talking about 4G pitches, lads. So this is on the back of Páirc Uí Chaoimh, obviously, and the state that's in, and everything like that. And he's saying that 4G pitches, if they were built everywhere as distinct from grass pitches, he says that's a huge strategic decision to be made by the GAA. But looking at the 2 matches in Turnless and Parnell Park, there's a lot to be said for 4G pitches. So he's talking about the Club All-Irelands, and we know Ballygunner had a ball kind of stick in the mud a little bit when he had a chance. And I'm wondering, is that the future for 4G pitches where you never have to worry, Michael, about the weather? But are you losing something there? Because like winter hurling is almost a distinct brand of hurling in its own. There's rucks. You need the big arse to be able to push lads out of the way. And there's a huge skill in protecting the ball and getting it down in a ruck and getting it up in your hand. Like you'd lose all that with if you were to go with perfect pitches all year round. What do you think?
I always prefer a natural pitch. Like probably from a defender's point of view, it's a bit easier as well. You catch a few lads. But as you say, it's a different hurling, different type of hurling. It gets lads fighting for each other, and obviously it's not as pretty to look at, but you get that battle mentality in, and it's a different sort of excitement, you know, who's going to come out on top of these little rucks. And I'd always enjoy it, and obviously the quality of hurling does suffer a bit because it's not going to be as fast, but it's early in the season as well, and I'd be all for just keeping it natural. But obviously pitches can't be in the state they are at the moment, you know, it has to be in moderation.
Yeah, I think the 4G pitches now, Damien, are almost natural. Like, I mean, it's hard to tell the difference. Like, you wear mouldies on them and there's a bit of give in them. They're not like an AstroTurf, like an old tennis court that we used to play with.
Kill your groins.
You'd rip the knees off it.
Yeah, well, Colm, I'd be the opposite now to Michael. I'd be all for them. Yeah. I'd be all for it with John Miller. I said this actually, I think, in last year's show, that I just think that when it goes to early in the season, that these 4G pitches, like as you said, it's not far off the same condition as Croke Park, right? And I just think you would be getting a better brand of hurling, you're getting a faster hurling, you're getting way livelier. I think you'll be getting more scores. I can see Michael's point about, I think every county should have one 4G pitch, and I think it would improve. Games. Like you, example, and we all know in Galway Club Hurling we play 2 games in April. We won't play another game till the month of September, which is around the middle of September, and the conditions have just changed. So I can see your point, but I would be all for what John Myler is saying with a 4G pitch, and I think it's something that county boards should be made look into to see if they try and improve. And with a 4G pitch as well, Colm, if you had a 4G pitch, you could play 6 or 7 matches a day on it. You know, for example, on a Sunday.
Yeah.
So and John Myler, I would be all for it. We trained last night, for example, with the club, and we trained on AstroTurf, where, for example, last Wednesday we trained on the pitch, and the difference in the 2 training sessions was just incredible. Last night's training session was so enjoyable, right, where it was all hurling, it was all ball, and it was really fast, where Wednesday week ago it was all slogging and in the dog and the dirt, and so yeah, I'd be all for 4D pitches. I would love to see something like that coming in.
And that's the thing. And like, I suppose even another thing is just jumping into my mind. Like, you could actually warm up on it and poke around on it, because you know, like if a team warms up on the most important pitch, like you see all the lines that they're running from the end line out to the 21, and it's destroyed. Like,
they stop you now normally. There's a little side pitch somewhere everywhere.
And you have to go warm up in the dark there just to. So like it actually would solve a lot of problems. I don't know financially how much, but it's definitely a clear distinction between what a back wants and what a forward wants in this. Come here, I'm going to make you feel very old here, Michael, before we get into talking to Joe Quaid. John Herriton, have I pronounced that right? I haven't.
John Hedgerton, Hedgerton.
Hedgerton, is it? Right, John Hedgerton. Oh, geez, I definitely would have had that pronounced wrong. So he had an interview on GAA.ie. He's son of Kieran, who's a huge figure in the Dublin game. So John carried the water in spare hurleys during the 2011 league win and 2013 Leinster win when you were playing. And he was also like carrying him around water boy and whatever. So he wasn't a manager's son, because that was obviously Anthony Daly.
Hedger was a selector.
Oh, he was a selector.
With Dale there for a few years. So.
I always think about when we were back minors, Gabriel Lawler was our manager, and his son Paul used to kick the ball out for us. He was only a little whippersnapper, and then I ended up playing with him for Laois. And his daughter Tracy Lawler used to kick the ball out. She was a whippersnapper as well, and she ended up being a brilliant footballer for Laois as well. And Kieran Lillis used to kick the balls back out for us. In '99 he was our mascot going out in the county final. He plays midfield for Laois, and I won county title with him. It's weird, isn't it, that I don't know, is it good practice these young people are getting? I think the percentage of people who are, maybe it's just exposure to a high performance environment at a young age.
I remember young John Hedger at training all the time, pucking balls non-stop. Like, so I think he's just around that environment and for so long, and he was a big young fella back then, and he's massive now. He's a grown man, and like he's about 6'3" now, but he's really come into his own this year. And last year in the club championship he was excellent. But they have such a unique history in the family. Like, Hedger and John are both Vincent's. Or Hedger, the dad, Kieran Senior, is Kieran's, and then the mum, Patsy, who's huge in Camogie, involved in Vincent's, and John are with Vincent. Like, so they're Vincent's, Kieran's, So Kieran has two sons with Kieran's.
Right.
John's two brothers. And John is with Vincent, so they're constantly playing against each other in Championship.
Really?
And then the sister made her debut for the Dublin Dublin footballers 2 weeks ago, and she plays with Clontarf. So they're well spread out around Dublin.
The 3 children are play with different clubs?
2 clubs, yes. You have 2 brothers with Craig Kieran and then 1 brother with Vincent's.
That's bizarre.
And the mum is Vincent's and the dad is Kieran's. There's a big rivalry there, you know.
That's a very unique.
Very unique. Like
I think the father needs to be putting his foot down here.
yeah. Well, I don't know. Patsy, no, I wouldn't cross Patsy either.
Okay, or the mother needs to put the foot down. One of the 2 of them.
Yeah, well, Vincent are doing better at the moment, so I suppose. Now, look, they're well grown up, the lads now, so their minds are made up. There's no change at the moment, but it's very unique. Like, you know,
definitely
is. The 3 siblings all with different clubs.
Yeah, I've never heard that. Wouldn't happen in Portumna, Damien.
No, by Jesus, it wouldn't happen.
What about ever a mascot or pucking the balls back out when you were younger?
I was never a mascot, but yeah, I put the world of ball back out to the lads. So I did when they'd be hitting balls over the bar. When my own brothers would be shooting balls over the bar. I think any JA family, Colm, I think this happens in every JA pitch all over the country. If you have a brother that's, you know, going down pucking balls, the younger brother or the younger sister tags along and he pucks the ball back out, and it's like having this great training from because they also see. And there's a saying up our way: example is powerful, and it's what they see is what they do, you know. And you're speaking about all the elite younger footballers that end up playing with you and they're pucking balls out. That's what it's all about. As I said, they're the small things, and that's what's meant to make the GAA really, really brilliant and really good. So, and it's just the small things. Like they were old training sessions, Colm, and now it's gone all so scientific now and everything. But what was wrong with it?
Yeah, I wonder, does it happen now? Yeah, would we complain about that now?
It does happen, because I'll tell you, and I said this as well. Claire and I and Aina, we'd only one lad at the time. We were down in Kerry. I told you this, and Kerry were after drawing the match to Cork. If you remember, 3-4 years ago, in the Munster final, and I was mad to go in and see Kerry training. And Anna did one of the lads leave the gate open, and we're driving by, so I drove in, and I got the last 10 minutes of training, and all they were doing was kicking ball to hand, and next thing he blew the whistle, and next thing he just started kicking over the bar. It was so simple. It was no different to probably what any junior football club team would be doing, but you just think it's all scientific. So there's nothing wrong with keeping it simple. But what was wrong with kicking balls over the bar and we say the selectors, young lads, kicking the ball back out? Not a bit. So no. I often say it's got a little bit too serious and too scientific, but no, that's a great thing about the GAA. You can go down to the pitch and there'll always be some young lad down the pitch and you puck the balls back out there. Exactly.
Long may it continue. Right, we'll come back here with Joe Quaid. Alright, so Westmeath have won their first 2 games in Division 2A, and their new manager Joe Quaid joins us on the line now. Joe, you'll be happy enough with that start. 2 wins, 1 away to Kerry, a Keogh Cup against Antrim. All is good, rosy in the garden.
I suppose from the outside looking in, you'd say that. But look, we haven't been happy with our performances so far. What we've been very happy with is the spirit in the team. And I suppose the Keogh Cup final, we were down 5 or 6 points, came back to draw and winning penalties, and the same below in Kerry. I think 10, 12 minutes ago we were 6 points down, came back, went up 3, conceded a goal to level it, and went on and had the guile to manufacture 2 more points to win. So I suppose from our perspective it's a work in progress, but I'd much prefer to be winning matches the way we are than having good performances and losing. Yeah. So we're happy out.
Yeah, I suppose digging out results, especially at this time of the year, we're only at the start of February, that's nearly a better quality than maybe silky hurling, which hopefully will come for the Joe McDonough when the ground is better.
Yeah, look, I saw reports on the paper from last year and the year before. I think there was people saying that these guys are suited to summer hurling, but that's no good when you're trying to get out of Division 2A. And the one thing I questioned the lads were they up for the fight for the league, because as I said, men win leagues, boys can possibly win championships, but boys don't win leagues. And look, to be fair, I questioned them, and they've come back and given me the 2 fingers at times to say, yeah, we're up for it. And look, that's what I want out of them guys. We're there to get the best out of them.
Yeah, I was reading after the Antrim win in the KO Cup, you said the most pleasing aspect is we used so many subs. Each one of them made a contribution. That's what we're about at the moment, trying to build a panel. And I'm just wondering, is that something you're focusing on and something you identified that Westmeath maybe had the same first 15 a little bit too much?
Yeah, look, it's the one thing, I don't dwell on the past too much. For the simple reason is we're trying to come in and bring in our own stamp. Now, would I have liked to have had more challenge matches with the lads on the periphery and that we didn't know about? Yes, but we didn't have the opportunity between club championships going on, injuries and things like that. We hadn't our full panel together. We still probably haven't it together. There's still lads kind of just coming back from injury. So it gave us the opportunity during the KO Cup, during the league, to try out lads. Is it ideal? Not from a winning point of view, but has it done us any harm? No. And what it has done is it has kept the competition for places on the 26. I suppose firstly hot and definitely to get on the team. We've probably made an average 3 or 4 changes every match to the starting 15. Some of it's tactical, some of it's based on form, and what we try to do is when we pick a team every Wednesday night is whoever's hurling best that week gets the nod, and hopefully it's going to continue that way.
It's usually difficult in the weaker counties in that you'll get your first 15 out and then there might be a drop down to the fellas that come on. Do you know what I mean? And you see it in lots of counties, even in clubs, they'll kind of have that 15 and then I don't know if there's challenges for that in Westmeath, or you have maybe the numbers that you can get that panel.
Well, I suppose it's Westmeath to me, probably when we came in, was perceived as a weaker county. To me, it's not. Like, they've put it up to the likes of Tip, they've put it up to Limerick, to put it up to Wexford. Look what Carlo did to Galway last weekend.
Yeah.
So it's probably the perception that is the biggest problem in the mindset. And I think that definitely was within Westmeath, and it's something that we are trying to change, is that they are good enough. The talent that's there is every bit as good as in every county. I've watched Limerick, Clare, Tip training sessions. The training that's been done and the intensity that the players and the coaches bring to it is every bit as good as that. So I think a lot of it is belief. You see, Clonkill put it up to Ballyboden, probably should have beaten them in the Leinster Club Championship. And Clonkill, Raharney, Castletown, you have a lot of teams in Westmeath that are of the same standard of Clonkill, and look, that bodes well. But I think what I'm trying to do is change the mindset of poor us, the weaker counties. It doesn't wash with me, because I see the talent that's there and I see the work that's been put in at club level and at county board level to backing the whole thing. And to be fair, I've come across awkward county boards in my time, but to be fair to the board there, they're doing everything to help us as well. So it's basically to get the mindset into the players that, look, we're no longer a weaker county, that we're there to compete, that hurlers there as good as anything in the country. But we just need to get the mindset and get the belief into them to perform.
Yeah, well, that's definitely a good message. And I'm sure, like, Carlow are your rivals, but I'm sure that result against Galway did your message no harm either. Like, you just even referenced it there.
Absolutely. And look, even the 3 years I had with Kildare, we were punching above our weight, people thought. But again, it's go back to our mindset. We knew we won no league match last year and with Kildare, and I came out of Ruislip after we were relegated, and I told the chairman we were going to win the Christie Ring, and we did. Because I knew I was getting into the mindset of lads, and that's what we need to do. If you think you're good enough, you're good enough. If you don't think you're good enough, even if you are good enough, you'll never be good enough.
Yeah.
So that's what we need to do. And Hurling needs the Carlows, the Westmeaths, the Kildares, these lads coming up. Like, they're all about tradition. Tradition had to be started somewhere. So we're hoping that we get Westmeath up to where it belongs and drive it on from there. And look, that's all we can try and do, is just bring that bit of belief into the lads.
In a way, there's a little bit of pressure on you in that Westmeath got to the league final and lost to Carlow, and got to the Joe McDonagh Cup final and lost to Carlow. So to improve on last year, you have to win both of them.
I disagree, and when I was interviewed for the job, I actually made it clear that success to me this year wouldn't be judged on improving on 2 results from last year, because what we are trying to do is bring in a mindset which I've just spoken about. Winning one of them or winning both of them won't necessarily change the mindset. It has changed it in Carlow, to be fair, from their result, but that's what we need to get into Westmeath. Yes, is it over our term in there? Is it vital that we get up and compete up there? Yeah, but I don't want, or there's no purpose in winning 2A and winning the Joe McDonagh if you're not ready to compete at Division 1 and Liam McCarthy level. So what we're trying to do is get these lads ready to compete. Whether it takes a year, 2 years, so be it. And that's the message I brought when I was interviewed for the job. If you're looking for a quick fix, just for an initial victory to go up and down, I said you've the wrong man for the job. I said we're there to build and instill a culture into the lads. As I said earlier on, that they are good. They are as good as anything else that's out there, and it's going to take time to do that. Look, I'm as competitive as the next fella. If there's 2 dogs running up the street, I'll be backing one of them to win it. You know, so every match I go out in, I want to win. I don't care whether it's a challenge match that I'm taking one of the teams at training, or whether it's a Cure Cup match, a league match, or a McDonagh match. I want to win every match. But the most important thing is that we get the ethos and the belief into these lads. Look, we'll be there for a period of time. I want Westmeath Hurling to be absolutely flourishing whenever we go, that they're at the top level. I'm not in it for a quick fix for me to turn around and say I won a McDonagh, I won a league. There's no point if it's not for the long-term benefit of the county.
Right, okay, so you're in it, like, I mean, it looks like you've a long-term plan, and would that kind of incorporate the underage structures in the county? And like you said, when Westmeath get up, because you were well known for bringing young fellas into the Kildare senior panel and giving them games, is that what you're talking about, that when Westmeath go up, they have enough players coming through the ranks and that the underage structure's improved, and you're looking at a whole holistic kind of view to Westmeath hurling? Yeah,
look, it's the buzzword at the moment, Woody, I suppose, this holistic approach to everything. Yeah. But look, Johnny Greble is in with us as well. Johnny's over the under-20s, so there's a close tie between both there. We've had lads in, we've played challenge matches against the 20s, you know, so that's where we want to see. We want to see development of lads. We've left lads go off of the senior panel to go back to the 20s for the year, so that they're not getting swallowed up in the system. We give them a taste of it, of what's expected. And to be fair, Johnny's levels of professionalism and everything are every bit as good, if not better, than mine. So, you know, we've a really tight working bunch in there. Brendan Murta is in as a selector with 4 of us as well. So there's good continuity there. And that's what we want. We want the under-20s to be a feeder squad for the seniors. And look, you see the age profile of Limerick, the lads this year, last year that won the All-Ireland. It's a young team.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons that they're as good as they are is belief.
So when you were with Kildare, I was reading, you chose to promote the young fellas in Kildare and give them a go rather than use these permit players. Is that right? You didn't take in any inter-county transfers at all in Kildare. You just focused on players for Kildare.
Well, we did the second year because we couldn't get players in Kildare from Kildare, and we had to take in. We brought in John Mulhall and
we had Mulhall,
Dennis Stapleton, and them. You had that lunatic on the programme.
We did. In your last year, you gave it up though.
We did, yeah. Look, I never wanted to do it. It was the players that came to me in the second year, and we were struggling to get homegrown players in. And do you know what? It helped the situation because the quality, I suppose, that we got in, with David Reedy, who's now an All-Ireland senior hurling medal holder.
Yeah.
He came in, he wasn't wanted by Limerick. He was teaching above in Kildare, we brought him in. That definitely helped him get back onto the Limerick panel. You was John Mulhall, All-Ireland medal winner and half a lunatic. But brought that raw passion, madness for the game of hurling. You know, so that definitely upped the standards. And do you know what? It probably showed both sides from within Kildare that weren't coming in that, Jesus, there's lads from Limerick of quality and lads from Kilkenny of that quality wanting to play with Kildare. And them lads wanted to play with Kildare. You know, they wanted to play into County Hurling. It showed them that, Jesus, there must be something wrong here if lads from outside the county want to play with my county and I don't. So it definitely helped. And then we got the crop of young lads in as well. And look, they flourished. Look, to me last year, it wasn't even about the Christie Ring, young James Burke, who we thought wouldn't make it through Easter after getting struck down with meningitis. To see that man climbing the steps of Cork Park, lifting the Christie Ring, that was to me what the year was about.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Come here, I would just talk to you about the style of hurling, because you know now it's in vogue with Cork and Limerick, and it's these short stick passes and it's getting it far out the field and then it's giving good ball in. Just wondering, and I don't want to say weaker counties now with the message you're giving, just say down the divisions, say for example, where the skill levels wouldn't be as high. Is that style of play possible, or do you have to depend on maybe the more traditional style in get it on in long?
Look, you'll win nothing with one style of play. We've been working on the different styles of play. What you've got to remember, Uli, is this time last year and even the year before, I was at Limerick matches and their style of play, it broke down time after time after time, and you could hear in the stands the cursing and swearing and would you drive it and all that. But the one thing that John Kiley and Paul Kinnock did was, and the players, they believed in the system. They believed in their strengths and what worked for them, and they kept at it and kept at it and kept at it until they perfected it. I think, yeah, it's an effective style, but I think Seamus Flanagan summed it up there just before Christmas, I think, when he did an interview, and he was on about teams will know they'll drop sweepers, but he said they can drop a sweeper, they can drop two sweepers, but no one will beat work rate. And you can have all the systems in the world, but if you haven't a team that's willing to work hard, then it has to be everybody.
Yeah.
If one person lets it down, the whole thing goes to pot. And to me, it's work rate and desire and a passion for the game. I think hurling has never been in a better place. I think the powers that be are still trying to tinker with it because they changed the rules of football. They're trying to change the rules. It doesn't need changing, I think. But definitely, if you're going to stick with a style of play, you've got to stick with it. There's no team in the country that skillful that they can just decide on a style of play and it's going to work within a week, 2 weeks, 2 months. It's a work in progress, and squads have to get used to each other, and they've got to get used to each other's nuances and funny ways and things, you know.
Yeah.
It's the same with any team. If you look at the Dublin footballers, they know each other inside out. Jim brings in a few new every year, but they adapt into the system.
Exactly. Come here, I was reading that there was 7 candidates interviewed for the Westmeath job. I think it was narrowed down to 5, so you must have done a good interview. And I was talking to John Maughan recently there. He was talking about the Offaly job and the kind of standards required for intercounty management interviews now. So, you've obviously gone through that process and beaten another 5 candidates. How do you find the whole intercounty interview process?
Look, I suppose it's whatever the panel were looking for. I don't know. I was me. I didn't change the way I was. You know, there was obviously other excellent candidates in for the job as well. But I was me at the interview. I brought across what I wanted to do, the passion that I have for the game. I suppose I haven't a bad record at management level either. I think.
Yeah, you haven't, and you've kind of served your dues, haven't you? You with the Limerick Camogie team did very well with them. You've done very well with Kildare, and this is the next step up. Like you're definitely taking it step by step in your managerial career, aren't you?
Absolutely. Look, I took over the Keen Inches group at under 14 level. You know, I had them from 14s. We won the All Ireland Shield. The 15s, we won the All Ireland A16s. I took over the Camogie. We won the intermediate All Ireland with them. We were involved with the minors with them, the juniors. Went down to Kildare. We won a Cure Cup at the Christie Ring. We have a Cure Cup one already with there. So, as I say, maybe a lucky general. I don't know, but look, I love winning, you know, and everybody doubts themselves along, and we've often doubted ourselves, but the one thing I pride myself in is putting good backroom teams together. Yeah, I get the praise when we win, I get the abuse when we lose, but it's a lot more than a manager. It's putting a really good backroom team together that have one vision. And the one thing I've never stood for since I've taken over teams is anybody in the setup, be it players or management or anybody with agendas. Everybody has to be rowing in the same direction, and that's all I want. Is once you've got that, you're in with a fighting chance. Yes, there's a lot of hard work goes into it. There's a lot of time goes into it. But as you said there, I started at the bottom, and I'm working my way up. Any team I'm with will get everything that I have.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, like, it obviously is a skill picking a good management team. I see you have Willie Banks as goalkeeping coach. When I read that, I says, Jesus, Joe could do that himself. But, like, I mean, if you're the manager, you can't...
I wouldn't have a clue.
But if you're the manager, you can't be...
I genuinely wouldn't have a clue how to coach goalies. Because I never got goalkeeping coaching in my life.
Right.
I've gone to courses that Willie has, and I've basically been standing in them. He said, how'd you do that? And I went to Willie, I haven't a fucking clue. And then he go, break it down, and then I figured it out.
Right, yeah.
I often flag Willie, if I had him as goalkeeping coach, they wouldn't have needed nets.
So it's actually being able to, like, you just know how to do it rather than how to teach somebody to do it. But that's even the thing. If you were a goalkeeping coach, you'd be wasting your time with the goalkeepers when something else is going on. So the manager can't really, you know, be in the...
You can't do both. You can't coach and manage.
Yeah.
What I do is I talk to my coaches. Shane O'Brien from Dublin now has been with me with Kildare last year. Is there again. I've Johnny Greville, Brendan Mutta. I just tell the lads my vision for it. It's not just mine. We all sit down. It's a collective effort. Even with picking teams, we all have our say in it. If I'm outnumbered on selection, I go with that. Now, the one thing I don't want is yes men, and I've never had them within a management team. If someone disagrees with me, I'll take it on board.
Yeah.
It's to get the proper people in. As I said, I go back to the game, it's people with no agendas.
Yeah.
If you have someone inside in a setup with an agenda that they want this fella, they want that fella, it just doesn't wash with me. As I said, I'll remove anybody from a setup that's bringing the thing down. And I've often said, if it was me that was bringing it down, I'd walk away from it myself.
Yeah.
I love managing teams. I love managing management teams because I love playing the game. And it only for people, I suppose, taking the time out to train me, to coach me, to manage me down through the years, I wouldn't have achieved what I did out of the game or enjoyed what I did out of the game. That's why I'm in it. It's as simple as that. You know, I'm not a mercenary that goes around from club to club to club. I enjoy managing at as high a level as I can, and as you said, I've done my time. I did underage in Limerick, I did the Camogie in Limerick, I did Kildare, and now I'm going on to Westmeath.
Yeah. So if you play your cards right, you might get the Leash job then next. That's the next natural progression for you, Joe.
Well, to be fair to them, they didn't want me this year, and so.
Oh, you were in for that.
Well, the rumour has it.
Well, come here, you're not getting it easy anyways because you have Kerry and Antrim away. Antrim's up next, and that's a away game as well. They're the two most difficult games. So that's really, for a lot of people looking from the outside, that's the big one to see who'll top that group. But, like, I mean, it's not the be-all and end-all because it's the top two obviously go into the final anyway.
Absolutely. Look, I suppose anybody that would have looked at it, and that's not writing off any of the rest of the teams, because there will be shocks in this league. It's probably more competitive league nearly than Division 1B, because there's probably a gulf at times between the top teams in 1B and the bottom teams. Although Carlo actually made shy to that theory the last day, but it's really competitive. Like, Westmeath have been in this division, I think, for the last 4 years and haven't got out of it. I think Kerry were up and down, Antrim were up and down. Like, I think the bookies have us favourites to come out of it, but like, you're dealing with a Kerry team and an Antrim team that over the last couple of years have both played in Division 1B.
Yeah.
Whereas Westmeath haven't. So I wouldn't be reading too much into the bookies side of it. It's going to be a battle, the same as Below Kerry was. As a player or a manager, going to Belfast or further up has never been easy. They're really passionate hurling people in Antrim, and we are expecting nothing, only an absolute ding-dong battle on Sunday.
Yeah.
I suppose it's more important for Antrim than ourselves, because they've lost one already. But if they beat us on Sunday, both ourselves, Kerry and Antrim, have lost one, and it'll go to scoring difference if everybody else, if they win the rest of the matches. So it's really tight, and it's a really vital match for both teams.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. So best of luck in it, Joe, and we might talk to you later on during the year.
No problem at all. Thanks for the call, Woody.
Okay, Paddy Power predictions, lads, and we're going to start with Galway and Dublin, because let's be honest, we haven't had Galway, Dublin and Waterford play each other in Division 1B. It's been all very predictable so far, and look, Carlow are obviously the story coming out of it, drawn with Galway, and that's fantastic. But we've been waiting for a big clash, and this is a big clash. Galway, according to Paddy Power, 1-3 favourites. I'm not sure I'd have them at that, based on the experimentation they're doing, and Dublin are 11-4 outsiders in Pearse Stadium, obviously, which is difficult to go. This is the deferred game on TG Cahir on Sunday. Like, I mean, Pádraig Mannion's talking, I was reading a quote, he was actually the only person I saw in the last 2 weeks, and he was talking about the rivalry, and there was a big row obviously in the 7s or the 11s or whatever that nonsense is goes over in Boston, and he's trying to play down this rivalry. He says it was just like one of those games where everyone was kind of playing on the edge. It didn't take much to send it over the edge. Has there been a rivalry between Dublin and Galway since Galway came down into Leinster Championship, or has it turned a bit more serious since that Boston thing, or is there too much being read into it?
I think there's a bit of a needle there, to be honest with you. You sort of feel it when you're, like, I felt it playing against them, and then now that I'm outside it and you're going to games, you sort of feel it when they're meeting each other. There's a little bit of a needle there.
Right.
I don't think there's anything to do with Boston. I just think you're meeting each other now more in the league and in the championship, and it's competitive now, whereas it used to be a bit of a walkover towards Galway for a few years there. But like, we bet them in 2013, the Leinster final, and then I remember drawing the game in 15 and then getting spanked by Galway in the replay, and it's sort of been Galway since then. So I think I fancy Dublin this weekend, but I think Galway are going to be missing a few lads, with Thomas's in the final and then Aaron Moore winning the intermediate final last week. I'm not sure if them players be back. So I think Galway are going to be depleted, and they're changing their team quite a bit, whereas Dublin have a very strong team out Sunday. So I think they're going to do it on Sunday.
Right, at 11-4. What do you think, Damien? Since, like, did you notice that big thing when you started joining the Leinster Championship?
I never seen any rivalry between the two teams.
Really?
Two teams. I would have seen more of a rivalry with Galway and Kilkenny. Just being straight with you, But I used to never see much of a rivalry between us. When we used to play, obviously it was very, very competitive. But just when Michael is there, Colm, what is Dublin's expectations this year? I've heard now last year and the year before that Dublin are coming and they're doing great things up there and all this. But just like last year, all Dublin beat last year was Offaly.
Yeah.
Technically.
Yeah, I know.
So and they came very close to beating Kilkenny, and they came very close to beating Wexford and all this sort of stuff. But what are the expectations for Dublin this year, or what is a good year for Dublin in hurling circles now? That's just a question, because like in Galway are seen as they'll be tipped for maybe win the All-Ireland, or they'll be there and thereabouts, or then to see Galway, maybe they should win Leinster, even though I said I reckon the Kilkenny will win Leinster. What is a good year for Dublin hurling this year, and what are the expectations? Just a question for Dublin hurling.
I think with Matty, knowing Matty from what seen him with the club and seen him with Coola, he's going to be going all out to win. I think, Damien, this year, like not All Ireland necessarily, but winning one or two big games in the Championship isn't going to be enough for him. Like last year, they had a young panel who did quite well, and they were just pipped by Kilkenny, Wexford, and Galway. But Galway was a bit dead rubber by then, so it didn't really matter. I think they're going to really challenge in the league and see where they're at. And then in Championship, I think he's going to be eyeing up Leinster. Like straight away, that's the first big
to make a Leinster final.
Absolutely, because you want to get back at the top of the table. And at the moment, they're just they're moral victories at the moment. Or they're getting there against Kilkenny, which isn't good enough for this panel, because they're really good hurling side, and I think they can take lows from Limerick last year, because they're not far off Limerick. And when you see what Limerick came from nowhere and won it. Like, if Dublin can manage to get an All-Ireland, you could see a number of All-Irelands in them, because the panel is so good and the young lads are really good hurlers, but it's just that bit of composure and confidence that they lacked last year, because they are good enough hurlers to be competing at the top.
And judging by Dublin's team in the league so far, like he's kind of settling on his team nearly, isn't he?
Definitely. Like, and you have Connell, who hasn't, I don't think he's made up his mind yet, but
he'll be back.
I'd fancy him to come back. And you've Mark Schutte who's come back, and I've seen him there recently. The size of him from coming back from the footballers, he's going to be a huge plus there. And then you find the likes of Hedges coming into his own, and then Paul Ryan's coming back, and like, I just
up front is their defence settling down here. You had Nolan in goals, you had O'Callaghan, you had Owen O'Donnell, and you had Paddy Smith. Then you had Crummy Moran and Barrett as the
really good half
back line, big fellas.
And I always said the midfield is the problem, Willie. And now you have Darragh O'Connell there from Coola's back now. Yeah, he's a huge player. Like, he's box to box. And he's an exceptional hurler, and he's great vision, so he's going to add so much to this Dublin panel. And then when you add the likes of Connell and Mark back then, and Paul back, like, it's a really, really strong Dublin team.
It is. So is that full forward line, Burke scored 6 points last time, Rush would be full forward. Is O'Rourke scored 2-3? Would that be the full forward line?
No, I don't think O'Rourke will be in there. I think Paul Ryan will come in. Right. And for freeze alone, he's just so accurate, like, you know, and you just need him, because if you're going to get fouled, you just can't miss him.
And does Ryan take freeze ahead of Tracy?
Yeah, he will. I would. Like, he likes to call himself Radar. He thinks he's that accurate.
Radar Ryan.
Yeah, that's what he's trying to start his own nickname for a while.
Well, you can't do that.
Not a chance. But no, he's an exceptional free taker, and I'd have him in there. Now, Tracy's a great free taker as well, but I think Paul would just pip him in Dublin.
Alright, so we'll continue on down through the other games here, so lads. So the Saturday night game, it's on Air Sport and on RTE, Cork and Clare. Paddy Power have this Cork Slide Outsiders 11-10, Clare 10-11. And Damien, you're our Clare correspondent here with Al Hayes Motors down in Ennis. So, like, I mean, I didn't realise this, that Conor McGrath and David Reedy are gone off the Clare panel. Have you heard that? I read that in the Evening Echo this week.
And I have to be honest with you, I didn't know that myself. I did know that Conor McGrath last year, they told me that he was carrying a hip injury. And this is what they told me, that was one of the reasons why he wasn't playing many of the games like that. But as of the two lads will say gone off the panel, that's actually the first I heard of it. So I did, and I would meet David Reedy a bit, because he works with the Clare champion, so he does, and really? I haven't actually seen him this year, but that's a surprise. It genuinely is, because as I just say, Conor McGrath, but like David Reedy, for example, was second in command taking frees last year. We'll say if they needed a second choice free taker, right? And then you have Conor McGrath, and like Conor McGrath, he's as good as corner forward that's out there, and as good a striker that's out there. It would remind you of this striking wise of Bubbles or Dwyer, but I know he did go out of favour last year with the current management. So, but what I was told was that he had a hip problem, and he was going off getting a kind of like a hip operation or whatever, and he was going to do rehab. But I didn't realise he was going off the panel. Like, is it that they've gone off the panel to do rehab, or dropped off the panel?
Yeah, no, not sure. Just not on the panel is what I read, so I don't really know.
Well, maybe it's a sort out injury. I know McGrath was maybe, but But you're right, I haven't seen them in a while.
So we'll take predictions on this, lads. We're not going to talk. We know what Cork are like. I'm fighting against myself to say Cork. Like, I mean, Cork are trying more lads out, and it's the same thing with the league. Like, this will be a great game. Look forward to it. It means nothing, and they're both trying people out. There won't be that edge to it. There's no doubt about that. And I think maybe the league suffers because of that. So who do you fancy here? It really is a toss-up, I suppose, isn't it?
I'm going Clare. I think they've been moving well and look good against Kilkenny at times, and I just think it's more important to Clare. We spoke about this a week or two ago, that just this panel now is at a interchange where it's either win the All-Ireland or the management are going to leave, and I think the players are that age now where I just think they have to start getting wins and convincing wins and start showing up,
It'd be a grand handy league for someone this year, really, Damien, if you want to put your hand up and say, here, we'll actually go for it when everybody else is trying lads out.
Yeah, well, I do think Clare will beat Cork again. I just think.
Oh, this is in this is in Páirc Uí Rinn, actually. We know that because Páirc Uí.
I still think Clare will win it. I think Clare should be winning it as well. So I do, because I think they've a better squad of players. I think Cork are waiting in the long grass. I think Cork are building for the summer. So they are, and when the ground gets harder, we'll see a better Cork and a different Cork. So, but yeah, I think it's an opportunity for Clare to push forward and maybe try to win the league and try to win a bit of silverware. So I do, but I think Clare will win it at the weekend.
Okay, great stuff. So the other one is Laois Offaly. This is on Saturday night at 7 o'clock. This is in O'Moore Park. Laois are 4-7 outsiders. Offaly 13-8. I was talking to Tommy Fitzgerald in the gym the other morning. He's Laois selector. He says Laois are missing 14 players that could be in there, which is an incredible amount. Now, obviously not all starters, but 14 players is a lot. Offaly, Brian Carroll was telling us on a Monday, they're missing a whole load of fellas as well. They're at, like, compared to the team that beat Dublin in the league last year, they're missing, like, there are only 3 or 4 remaining from that, like, which is unbelievable.
Why?
So they've a lot of injuries. I think it is. I don't think it's an issue that they've all left the panel or anything. I think it's just they're decimated with injuries and other genuine reasons for that. But, like, I mean, this is the mini league. This is Laois and Offaly and Carlow have a leg up on these two as well. Absolutely. So whoever loses this is really looking towards relegation here.
I think it's a tough one to call. You see, with both panels
decimated.
Yeah, decimated. Yeah. It's very tough. I'll probably go Laois because I just think they're in a nearly better place than Offaly at the moment. I think Offaly are really struggling.
Okay, good stuff, Damien. Laois or Offaly?
I go Laois because of home venue.
All right, okay, so you're both going for Laois, are the favourites of 4-7 here. I say outsiders there. Yeah. So the next, unless I have those odds wrong, which could easily be the case, next one is Waterford Carlow. This is Saturday night as well. This is in Fraher Field in Waterford. Waterford are still in experimentation mode. Like, I mean, they're giving a lot of those under 21s a full run. Connor Prunty, who was on that under 21 team, like, they got so many players from that. We know all the ones that have made it so far. He was wing back. He's been tried full back. Barry Coughlin obviously is retired, so they need to find a full back. You have DJ Foran and Mikey Carney from that team as well, who are getting seem to be playing every game now that were kind of only ever used as subs under Derek McGrath. Stephen Roach is in midfield. He's a bit older. He wasn't on the 21 team, but he's been tried. So that Waterford are kind of experimentation mode, but maybe in a different way to the others, Damien.
Definitely. They're experimenting no more than every other county, because I suppose there's nothing to gain or lose. But Waterford know that they need to find a couple of players as well, Colm, to do, and I think they need to find a couple of players to do, and they need to find, which in fairness he's trying to do, they need to find a more attacking brand. Under Derek McGrath, they were very much a football system where sometimes they'd only one man in the football, and then they'd 3.5 forward, and then they'd nearly like 4 midfielders at times. But he's trying stuff, and he's trying to see what players are going to step up to the mark. So he's looking for players that will step up to the mark, and he's going to give them an opportunity. And I suppose it has helped him too that the Ballygunner team was training for a Club All-Ireland semi-final, which was probably, there's roughly about 4 or 5 lads on the panel, I'd say, from Ballygunner. So he needs to find players, and he's going about it, and he's trying to find new players that he'll be able to use. As you said, there was used an awful lot by Derek McGrath as subs, but he's given these lads a chance in the first 15.
Yeah, exactly. So I'd say we'll all go for Waterford at home there. They're 1-33 to beat Carlow, even though Carlow are flying it. Yeah,
it's not even finding players as well as that. He's to break that psyche of that sweeper system. Like, they're so used. That's all they've played for a few years now, and they're racking up huge scoreline, so he is getting more attacking, but you have to get that into them by the time championship comes, you know, because it's a complete different way of hurling. So it seems to be working, whereas they haven't been challenged seriously yet, so it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, they haven't played Dublin or Galway in that league yet. Right, so Sunday then, the big game on TG Cahir at 2 o'clock in Nolan Park is Kilkenny versus Limerick. Kilkenny 6-5 outsiders at home to Limerick. Who would have thought it a year ago? Limerick are 5-6 favourites. Here's a quote from Brian Cody on Limerick. They're a top-class team with an age profile to give them hope that they'll be there for quite a while. Their form is outstanding and we're looking forward to the game because we'll be playing the best team in the country. What's been said about them by their own people who see them on the ground, they are hugely impressed and proud of everything about them. It's hugely important how you represent the county, and obviously they're doing it very well. I don't know, when I read that, I was like, and we talked about Limerick, our 4th favourites to win the All-Ireland. Like, would Brian Cody say that about Tip?
No.
He wouldn't.
No.
Would he say it about Cork? He wouldn't.
No.
Limerick are still being seen as the poor. Now, Brian Cody's being nice to them, but Brian Cody's an ultimate competitor. I still don't think Brian Cody... Maybe I can't read Brian Cody's mind, but he's been a lot nicer to them than he would to a proper rival. Is that fair? No.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think he'd say it about any other big rivals that he's had. I think everything he said is correct. They are the form team in Ireland, and they have such a young profile. I don't think Limerick will read anything into that if they do see this interview or a panel. I fancy Limerick. I think they're hurling fantastically well. The hunger's still there. And as you said, the age profile, they're just young lads going out and enjoying their hurling and with a huge tenacity. So I don't think they'll fear going to Kilkenny and playing them at all. So and they're in a better place in Kilkenny at the moment, I think. So I fancy Limerick.
Fancy Limerick there. Yeah. What about you, Damien?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Limerick, Colm. So I did. I met Kyle Hayes during the week, so I did. And
saw that there. You gave him a car, did you?
Yeah, absolutely. Looked after him, so I did, you know. But the one thing, Colm, I couldn't get over, and one of Kyle Hayes, the size of him, the legs on him was just incredible, right? And just a huge man. But like the one thing, I've met a couple of the Limerick hurlers now, they're very, very down to earth. It's one thing I really like about them. They won in All Ireland. They haven't changed their characters or their attitudes. They're still very much feet on the ground. John Kiley probably needs to take a lot of credit for that. I think you told me that you done an interview with one of the Limerick lads, and they reckon their squad will be stronger this year than it was last year. The lads competing for places. I think this Limerick team are going tipping along very, very nicely, so I do, and I think they're going to improve as the year goes along as well. But I think Limerick are an excellent team, and I think they're going to improve as the summer goes along, and I would predict that Limerick will beat Kilkenny again the weekend. Plus, a big disadvantage to Kilkenny is they don't have the Ballyhale players. Like, we're speaking of Michael Finn here, and we're speaking of TJ Reid, but there'll be a huge loss in these big games.
Colin Fennelly, I mean, Michael's retired, but Colin, But they're the only two Ballyhale lads that are guaranteed starters. Or is Colin Fennelly even a guaranteed starter? Like, he wasn't last year, but like, I mean, he obviously didn't have a full year's hurling behind him.
He wasn't last year, but he was gone over, so he was the army, you know, and
that won't be a problem.
He wasn't getting tired over there anyway.
Yeah, but when they came to championship hurling, he was one of the players that Cody turned around and brought in, like, you know, straight away. So I would love to see Colin Findlay with a year's hurling under his belt, and playing really well, and just see where he can go with his game. So I would, you know, because I've told you before, I think he's a good player. But to say that, like, you said there, to speak of Colin Findlay and TJ Reid, she used to be two all right forwards in any county setup. Big men, they're able to win high ball.
No, they definitely are. So come here, just quickly on Kyle Hayes. So did he take Tony Kelly's car, or is there two cars being thrown out from Al Hayes?
There's two cars now. There's two cars, like, you know. Sure, I told you I'm related to him, sure.
Yeah, you are, yeah.
And I wrote, as I put up on the Instagram, two giants of the game, right?
So do they go around? What's this deal now? Because I'm intrigued about this deal, because they're all getting these car deals. So are they going around with Al Hayes written along the side of it, or is it more subtle than that? Did they have to put out a tweet?
No, what happens is, Colm, anyone that's involved in GAA or involved in the farming world gets a special discount from Damien Hayes. Always does.
Well, you sold my sister two cars anyway, so, like, I mean,
I did that, and she was am I right by saying, is she a vet?
She's a veterinary assistant. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, so that's linked to the farming thing.
That's linking is like it. When you're involved in agri or the GAA world, you're sound. There'll be a discount given. You're okay.
This is all free. Damien's advertising here, Michael.
So you've been very nice.
I have. I'm being too nice, but I am intrigued about these free cars because I've never gotten one. And I have a good Twitter following. Like, I can stick out a tweet or two for this free car.
Just take a picture of what you say. My car's broken down.
This is a come and get me plea from me to and I like Volkswagen. Now I'm open to any offer.
Neary's lost. Look after you.
And what about Skodas?
Oh, I'm not sure about Skodas, Damien. Well, I'll have to see it. I'll have to see one. I thought Hayes got a Golf, did he not, down there? No, was he pictured beside a Golf?
Yeah, but like,
why can't I get a Golf?
What?
I want a Golf. It's a Golf I want.
But your the boot of a Golf is probably going to be too small for you if you've got two babbies now, isn't it?
Well,
Kodiak
three children is where the problems come with the cars. Anyways, lads, we're completely gone off topic here.
Yeah, you're gone off the radar there.
All right, so Wexford Tip, lads. Wexford are a great price here in Wexford Park to be tipped. This is another deferred game. So there's 3 games on TG Cahir. They're unreal. Unreal on Sunday. I will not watch all 3. I will not. But anyways, I'll watch 2 of them. Wexford are 15-8 outsiders against Tip 1-2 at home. Michael?
I'm going to go Tip, Willie. Wexford are hurling well. Again, they're one of the sides that aren't chopping and changing too much. They're playing their championship side for the majority. I reckon they'll go hard at the league. But I think Tip are showing really good form and hurling really well, and I think they'll have too much for Wexford.
All right, what do you think? I suppose
I would agree the exact same with Michael there. Exactly what he's saying. I go with Tip.
All right, okay, so Tip. So, you can't read too much into the Tipperary team outside of the fact that Noel McGrath and Shamie Callanan will be 11 and 14. That's the one thing. Everybody else might have to fight for that. Michael Breen looks to be midfield.
Colm, I'm still looking for where Bubbles is.
Bubbles hasn't been around, we're not sure.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm just wondering where Bubbles, like, if Tipper really to push forward, they need all their top players, and I just don't know where Bubbles is. He's not on the team. I don't see him coming on. He needs to be a regular.
Yeah. Well, you should ask that source that told you that Paddy Maher is going to be full back for the year.
Wait. Well, as man said, you can give me my bonus at the end of the year. Paddy Maher. It's full back for the year.
Well, the way he's hurling, it'd be hard to take him out of there. And Jake Morris.
He played wing back. Damien told us this the first round, and then he was picked wing back the week after.
Where will he be playing, Michael? Where will he be playing, Michael?
I think full back myself. I think full back.
I know. Sure, Michael, that's great to know, because I know nothing about hurling compared to what Colm Parkinson tells me. So at least Michael, you said no, he might start.
Absolutely.
Listen, lads, I've really enjoyed the show today. I'm sure we're gone a mile over an hour. We'll have to leave it there, and we'll be back on Monday and we'll do a preview show. All right, we'll talk to you then. Good luck.
Thanks.